Hello, welcome back to the Django Cross World of Warcraft tutorial. From our last episode, we were able to use SimulationCraft to run simulations on our characters and get the DPS score. So if you remember, we had a to-do item, I believe under this management command. So in this episode, we're gonna finish this to-do item. We're gonna find a way to track DPS scores, and we're gonna build a very simple, not styled HTML page and expose those score data to the front end. So in our next episode, we're gonna start building a graph out of it. Let's jump right in. So first thing first, as you might have guessed, we need a new model for this new score. So we're gonna get into our models file, create a new model. It should be fairly straightforward. Let's call it sim score. And we have a foreign key, nope, not capitalized, character. And for the delete attribute, which is required, we'll just say models.cascade, because if the character got removed, we want all the scores to be reset anyway, so that's good. DPS score equals major field, and we also need to know when the score was getting generated, so that in our graph we'll see like the trend of the scores. So we want the rating time, and Django had this really convenient configuration on the datetime field that's called auto now. Actually auto now add in our case. So this means whenever a row for this model is inserted, this rating time field will automatically set to that moment. So we'll set that to true to turn that on. And for a similar reason, we want a string function on this model because we are going to put this into the Django admin. So this will give us better readability. So let's do set.character set.dps score. That should be very straightforward. Cool. So models down. Now let's jump into, actually before we jump into the admin part, we need to create a new migration for this change. So make migrations. Cool. So we have our third migration and we're going to apply it. Sweet. Okay, so now the admin file. Again, this should be fairly straightforward. So sim score, I'll just add it here. Cool. Let's see what we have. Okay, so sim score is showing up, and let's just add a couple scores so we have something to test with. Let's start with, let's do 100K and add another one, 110K, and maybe another one, 120K. Okay, cool. We're done with the admin. Now we have the model, we have easy access to the score in the admin page. Now let's fix this to-do. So we have this DPS score. Let's import the model. Cool. So essentially here, we just want to create an entry for this new score. And because we had the rating time set to auto add, we don't have to worry about that. So this will be as simple as score.objects. Create equals C and DPS score equals DPS score. Okay, now if we run this management command again, oh, and remember to reset the checksum for your character back to nothing, because this guarantees a new simulation to be run on this character. If you still have the old data here, it might just skip that simulation. So let's try it out. All right, so you can see the log checksum refresh. That means a new score should be added. And there we go. We do have a real DPS score from SimulationCraft. So that's good. Okay, so now we are officially done with this management command. We just need a final step to expose all this data into a HTML page. So closing that out. If we're going to create a HTML file, we definitely need a templates folder. So templates. And this time it's not a Python module, so we don't need the init file. So for our page, we're just going to call it SimScores HTML. And let's keep it simple. We're going to expose our scores as a JavaScript variable. So I'm going to do script and SimScores equals SimScores safe. If you're not familiar with this syntax, this is the Django template syntax. This means this is a Python variable that's going to get injected from our view. And that's why this is camel cases versus this is following the JavaScript naming conventions. Safe means that this data is what we trust because it's generated by us. It's not from user input, so it will not try to escape anything from that variable. Okay, cool. So HTML page down, we need our view file. So that'll be views.py. And for our use case, Django generic template view would be the best fit. So let's do Django view. Okay, let's call it SimScores view. And this is a template view, so we set the template name equals the new file we just created. So SimScores.html. Okay, and there's really nothing or not much we have to write for this view. We don't want to override the get function because we just want to render this template. So the only thing we're going to do is override the get context data. So this is the function that injects additional context variable when rendering this HTML. So essentially, when it's referencing this variable, it will look from all the context data. So actually, I'm gonna delete that line. We'll get context data from the super function. So SimScore self. Okay. So in this view, we need to get all the sim scores for a given character. But as you probably just realized, we don't have a given character. And that's okay, because we are designing this view to get that information from the URL. So let's create our URL file. In order to narrow down to a single WoW character, we need the region, the realm, and the character name. And they are all kind of short strings, which makes them perfect as URL parameters. So that's how we're going to design our URLs. Let's import path from Django URLs, and we're going to define URL patterns. It's a list of URLs. In our case, we just need one. So we'll do path starting with SimScores. And first thing will be region, and all of them are strings. So it will be string region and string realm, and finally string name. And if you're not familiar with this syntax, it's actually very straightforward. You can go to Django documentation for URLs, and we need to point it to our view. So let's import it here from crosswell.use. Is it SimScore view? Okay, so it's a class-based view, so you need to invoke asView function after it. Okay, so now we have our URLs for our application. We need to import that in the top URLs file. So here we'll do include, and so for any path under Django cross WoW, we want to forward them to this URL file and have our application handle them. So we'll just do include So this way on the top URLs, it will be very clean and each application can handle their own URLs. Okay, so now for any request that goes into this view, we should have all this information available in the URL. We just need to get them out. They will all be under the keyword arguments. So region equals keyword args.get region. Similarly, realm get realm and name. Okay, so now we need to find the character. And we're just going to add a try catch here in case the character doesn't exist. Oh, and we need to import the character model, of course. And I think we need the sync score model as well. So we'll just import here as well. So one gotcha here is that all these values are actually case insensitive, including this name in WoW. So we want to do iExact, which means case insensitive exact match. So we can run and name. And if we don't find the character, so in the case character does not exist, we'll simply raise a 404. So that'll be raise, I believe there is a Django HTTP 404. Yep, so we'll raise 404 here. When we do have this character, we want to get all the scores for this character. So that'll be for sync score in character equals character. And given that we're passing this to the front end, we want to create that trend of scores. We might as well just sort the scores on our backend because it's so simple. It's just order by rating time. So now we have all the scores in the rating time order. We want to send the score and rating time pair to the front end. So let's just keep a list to store that. So it'll be result.append DPS score. Will be sync score.dps score, and rating time would be sync score.rating time, and let's just standardize it by using ISO format. Cool. So now we have all the scores and rating time associated with them in this list. So we want to put that into the context to be read by our template. Remember the name we give to the variable in the template? That's going to be where this template it's expecting this data. So we'll do context sync scores. And because it's a JavaScript variable, we need to encode that into JSON. So it'll be JSON.string result. And we need to import JSON, of course. And just for rendering purposes, let's put the name into the context as well. And we return the context. Cool. Okay, so now this page should be ready and we can visit it following this URL. So Django cross WoW, and then sync scores, region realm name. So let's try it out. Starting from Django cross WoW and sync scores. And we have region, realm, character name. Cool. So even though you are seeing nothing, but if you click view page source on this page, you can actually see our JavaScript variable is set properly. So it's ordered by time, starting from 100K, going all the way up to the last score we had. So this page is ready and we just need to style it in our next episode. Once again, I hope you are excited, you had fun. See you in the next episode.